Welcome back to Tethered in Whole. I'm Matt Weld, and today I want to talk about forgiveness, not as some lofty ideal, but as something real, something raw and transformative. Let me begin with a story. On February 12th, 1993, Mary Johnson's 12-year-old son was killed in a fight with 16-year-old O'Shea Israel, who was later sentenced to 25 years for second-degree murder. Mary says she was consumed by hatred, tight, dark, unrelenting hatred. She wanted O'Shea locked up for life. She believed only an animal could do something so cruel. And then someone gave her the poem Two Mothers by Velma West Sykes, where two women meet in heaven after their sons' deaths, one the mother of Christ, the other the mother of Judas. It's 2 pages long, so I'm not going to read it here, but I'll add it to the show notes. That poem shifted her perspective. She realized she needed to bring together other mothers of murdered children, but first, she had to do her work, her inner work, and she had to forgive her son's killer. Mary visited O'Shea in prison. She began the visit with, "I don't know you, you don't know me. You didn't know my son, he didn't know you. So we need to start from the beginning." And at the end of their meeting, O'Shea asked if he could hug her. She agreed. She broke down in his arms, and later she whispered to herself in disbelief, "I just hugged the man who murdered my son." And in that moment, she says something left her body, something dark that had been holding her captive. She says it was a physical sensation, that she literally had a feeling that started in her feet and rose through and out of her body. And for the first time in years, she felt free. Her journey toward forgiveness had begun. Years later, when O'Shea was released, Mary welcomed him into her home. And today, they live in the same neighborhood. But folks, here's the truth. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you. We imagine repairing relationships as a simple formula of conflict leads to apology, leads to forgiveness, and then back to normal. But real life looks actually more like this. We start with conflict, we go to apology, then there's the acts of reparation, and then there's a new normal. Notice that forgiveness is not in this second sequence. Forgiveness doesn't have to happen for both sides of the conflict to find their balance. Sometimes people who cause harm, they don't care at all whether or not you forgive them. Or it's more about you deciding that you're okay with whatever the new normal looks like. It's you deciding that you're okay with letting go of what was or what you expected to have happen in the future. Let's be clear. Forgiveness is not excusing, condoning, or forgetting. It doesn't absolve responsibility. Instead, forgiveness makes balance possible for the person who is hurt. It isn't the end of conflict. It is the beginning of a new relationship. Forgiveness cracks the door open so trust can be rebuilt, not by erasing the past, but by making space for a different future. Forgiveness is both personal and relational. Personally, it lets the injured release resentment and reclaim emotional freedom. Relationally, it signals a willingness to stay at the table to see if something new can be built. At its core, forgiveness is acceptance of the new normal. Human brains are wired for prediction, but conflict disrupts predictions. What we thought was going to happen is now no longer going to happen. And forgiveness is the flexibility to accept what is, not what should have been or could have been. When we're talking about forgiveness, there are 3 different kinds. Number 1, pre-forgiveness. Pre-forgiveness is building a culture where mistakes are a part of learning. Fail means first attempt in learning. If that's part of your culture at school, that is pre-forgiveness. Number 2 is forgiveness itself. After harm, releasing pain with the phrase, "This pain is not my inheritance." And the third one is re-forgiveness. When old wounds resurface and we must forgive again, sometimes more easily and sometimes harder, that happens. It's like grief. It comes and it goes, and we need to forgive again. Now, a strategy for today. I always want to leave you with at least one strategy. Psychologist Dr. Everett Worthington offers the REACH, REACH model, grounded in decades of research. So let's go through quickly the letters. R stands for recall the hurt. Acknowledge what happens without minimizing, without judging. For example, remember some time when a colleague dismissed your idea in a staff meeting. Instead of brushing it off, you name it honestly. That left me feeling undervalued and underheard. E, empathize. Try to understand the other's perspective. You might think, maybe my colleague was under pressure, or maybe they didn't realize how sharp their words sounded in the moment. A, altruistic gift. Remember a time you were forgiven and you were extended grace by someone else. Maybe recall making a grading mistake, but a parent gave you the benefit of the doubt. And so remembering that moment, you can choose to extend patience to your colleague. C, commit. Decide to write it down or to tell someone that you've chosen to forgive. You may say to a partner or a trusted peer, "I'm choosing to let go of what happened at the meeting so I don't carry it into the rest of my work." Naming it is taming it. And the last one, H, hold. Hold on to forgiveness. Feelings resurface, but remind yourself of your decision. The next time you see that same colleague push back in a meeting, irritation might rise again, but you take a breath and you remind yourself, I've already forgiven this. I won't let it steal my focus. This is not my inheritance. So let's talk a minute about forgiveness in schools. Imagine the impact of forgiveness if it became part of school culture, if students learned to move beyond grudges, if staff had tools for re-forgiveness when conflict resurfaced. Pain would be brought into the light, transformed into opportunities for repair and, well, for growth. That's how we move toward peace. That's how we move toward connection. And that's how we move toward contentment. Mary Johnson's story that I told at the beginning shows what's possible. Forgiveness didn't erase her grief, and it certainly didn't undo what happened. But it freed her, and it opened a door to a new kind of future. Forgiveness isn't one moment. It's a practice, a choice we return to again and again. And maybe, just maybe, it's part of what keeps us tethered and whole. Thanks for listening. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who might need to hear that forgiveness really is possible. Until next time, stay well, friends.